Beardo Banjo.
Hello there everyone, I'm back again today, still suited and booted, well not quite suited and booted, but shirted and tied to talk about Fallout 76. Now I'm only going to talk about this very briefly because they've just released a new trailer, which I haven't watched yet, for some Wastelanders DLC. Now this has been on the horizon for a little while. People have been crying out for it since the game was kind of announced, not even released, but announced. People have wanted NPC characters in the game to interact with since the very, very beginning. I am one of those people. Now, I'll give you a bit of background as to why I'm doing this video. I am a huge Fallout fan. Fallout has been a massive part of my video game love and video game life for a very long time. I've loved it. Not since the very beginning. I was probably a little too young for the very original ones, but since Fallout 3 came onto the scene, I fell in love with the franchise, the lore, the design, just everything about it kind of pulled me in. I was never much of an action RPG type player before, but that was the first game I played that kind of really brought me into that kind of questing, leveling, chatting to NPCs, kind of making decisions and kind of crafting the way the story played out. It was one of the first games I played that kind of let me do that, and I fell in love with it. And I still love Fallout 3 to this day. I still love New Vegas, although it took me a while to warm to that one. Didn't love it at first. More of an aesthetic thing. I love the franchise, I really do. Fallout 4, not my favourite. I enjoyed it, but I'll come on to that in a minute. And then, obviously, Fallout 76. Now, Fallout 76 obviously let me down, and let down a lot of people for a lot of reasons. Bethesda tried something, and it didn't land. I won't spend a lot of time talking about that because it's been covered by everyone. Everyone has already spoken about these things, and I appreciate that. I don't want to do the same information to death by talking about it again and again, but we all know what happened with Fallout 76. The game was announced, hype levels went through the roof. Then it was announced that it was multiplayer or online only. Hype levels subsided a little bit. Then obviously they showed the game off, and people went, okay, that looks pretty damn good. Then people got to play it. They got to play the beta, and then them hype levels just went through the floor because they could see that the game wasn't finished. The game had issues. The game was glitchy. It was empty. It felt kind of barren. The story was non-existent. There were just so many issues. And then we started to go into things like the collector's edition was exceptionally poor quality. It was not well made. They had the debacle around the whiskey that they made. They sold it at quite a high price. I believe it was a whiskey. And then it came in like a plastic bottle. So again, people were kind of... And these fans of these games, fans of the Fallout franchise, fans of Bethesda, love merch. I'm one of them. I've got merch around me as I speak. I've got Fallout beer here. You can't see it, but I've got Fallout beer just here. I've got a Nuka-Cola Quantum. I've got Fallout bobbleheads. I've got the little statue from Fallout 3, the collector's edition, when that came out. As you walk into my house, there's a big sign, kind of a big awning. It's a part of an old bit of point of sale from when I worked in the game store. And it says "Welcome Home," and it's got the kind of the Vault Boy, the Fallout guy on there. And I've had that since Fallout 76 was announced. People who love Fallout, people who love these Bethesda games, love the merchandise. They love the stuff. So when they throw the money on the table for a collector's edition, or they throw their money on the table for a bottle of whiskey that's meant to be kind of really smart, really snazzy, really kind of high quality, and then they get a plastic bottle or a cheap kind of nylon bag, they're going to kick off. There's going to be a problem because they want high quality, because they love the product, they love the franchise, they love Fallout. The game wasn't great, the game was glitchy, the game had problems, and then the merch wasn't good. And then they went one step further recently when they added in this horrible premium pay packet subscription service thing, which I'm not even going to talk about. I'm not going to give it any time of day because it's horrible. I don't know why you would subscribe to it. If you have, fair enough. If you're enjoying the game, fair enough. Enjoy the game, play the game. It's what you enjoy. That's fine. But I just don't understand why you'd lay that money out for what the game is. But all that aside, they have released a new trailer. Now, the idea of this Wastelanders trailer really is to kind of reboot the lore of the entire game, the entire Fallout 76 game. And that's bold. If they can do it, they might win over a huge chunk of the fan base, people that have been turned away, people that don't want to play the game anymore because they've tried it and gone, this isn't Fallout, this isn't what I want, I'm walking away. Those people might come back if they get this right, and that's a big if, because a lot of people have really been burnt by this product and probably won't come back and probably won't want to give it another chance. So I'm going to watch the trailer now, and I'm going to have kind of a little look at it and kind of dissect it and just see if it looks like they're doing enough to win people back over. I still have the game installed, and I must admit, I had a pretty fun time playing it. It felt like Fallout if Fallout had no kind of Fallout in it. I know that sounds weird. It still looked like a Fallout game. It still played like a Fallout game. But there was none of the stuff that makes Fallout great, in my opinion. And I felt the same way about Fallout 4 to a degree. I think they put a lot of time into the building and kind of crafting mechanic. And by doing that, they took away a lot of the joy in the kind of speaking to NPCs and carrying out quests mechanics. Everything in Fallout 4 was solved by shooting someone. There was no real kind of thought process. It didn't really matter what you did. Everything ended in a gunfight. And it did for me anyway. Whereas in Fallout New Vegas, you could make intellectual decisions and you could change the way the game played out, and you could kind of change the way that people interact with each other by talking to characters and by building relationships, and that was one of the best things about it. And you could do the same in Fallout 3 to a lesser degree, because New Vegas was far more heavy on the interaction aspect and kind of solving things with words and not violence. Fallout 4 was all violence, blowing things up and crafting things, and I did enjoy it, but it wasn't my favourite. And then Fallout 76 took that a step further and probably a step too far and made everything about just running around and blowing things up, because it was an online game. It was basically just an action game, just a, you know, a battle royale almost. You ran around, you did quests for robots, you went here, you shot some stuff, you went back to the robot told you to go and shoot some more stuff. It was a big game of fetch quests, and that burnt out a lot of people. I did enjoy it. I had a lot of fun playing it, but my problem, and probably a lot of people's problem, was I didn't have any friends to play it with, because I was the only one enjoying it. Everyone else went away. Everyone else said, nah, I'm done. I'm not playing that anymore. Uninstall. And I'm still sitting there with it installed going, maybe they'll come back. Maybe they'll come play with me one day. I don't think they will. I think I'm living on a pipe dream here, but hopefully this Wastelanders DLC changes that and makes people come back to play this game, and then we might get a bit of a community on there, and maybe it's taking the steps towards becoming the game we want it to be, and the game that I genuinely believe an online Fallout can be. I think done right, it could be great, but that remains to be seen. Just before I dive in and start watching the video, one thing I'll point out is Fallout 76 currently has 27,000 active players. Sounds like a lot of people. It's a lot of people, but given the scale and scope of the franchise and the popularity of the brand, that's not a lot of people. Fallout Online should have far more people than 27,000 people playing, in my personal opinion. It just seems crazy to me that there's only that many people left playing this game. Will we see a spike when this Wastelanders DLC drops? Hopefully. It is free. It's a free update that's going to change, hopefully, change the scope of the game, change the lore of the game, add NPCs, add new quests, add all sorts. I really hope it succeeds in what it's trying to do, but I'm going to watch the trailer now, and then we'll kind of come up with a conclusion and kind of see if it looks like it's doing enough, and see if it looks like it's going to be enough to bring me back in, and hopefully bring some of my friends back in so I can play with some people. Or if you still play it, let's play it together. I'll happily still play. It ain't great, but it's kind of fun. Alright, here we go. Hopefully this is going to do enough to get me excited. I'm a big fan, so if it does enough to get me excited, maybe it will do enough to get other Fallout fans excited and get people to come back and give this game another try, but who knows? Let's have a look.
It's been a long journey. Appalachia has changed. I don't know if you've been following the rumors, but there's something in the mountains. People from outside are coming in, and they're coming to stay.
You're from one of the local vaults, right? All of my people are at risk.
I'm willing to pay good money if you put
new enemies
for me.
We ain't gonna let anyone stand in our way.
What was that? I love the monster design, I always have. Ugh! I don't like that. Looks like a Cloverfield monster. Is that the whole trailer? Quite short. Oh, day before my birthday.
To do your part.
Looks like new. Looks like a very different. Hold on. That looks like a very different kind of power armor. I'm not a power armor expert, but what kind of power armor is that? The eye part especially looks very different to anything I've seen before. Tell me what it is. I'm not sure what that is. I'm not up to date on all the kind of specifications of the different power armors, but that looks kind of new and different to me. Okay, that's quite a short trailer. I thought there'd be a little bit more information in there. Very good that it's free. I think, you know, it needs to be free. There needs to be a reason for people to come back. And this is meant to be an expansive, ongoing, ever-evolving game. And if people aren't playing right now, and, you know, there are still some people playing, 27,000 people playing, but if you want a proper fan base, you want, you know, 100,000, couple of 100,000 people to come back, million people to come play your game. Fortnite has like 250 million registered players, and I know this ain't Fortnite. I appreciate that. But if you want a big player base, then, you know, and it's one of these ongoing games, there needs to be an incentive to continue to play it, and giving this content for free is a very clever way to do that. It's just nice to see other kind of...
It's been a long journey.
They could be players, but it's...
Appalachia has changed.
The focus is around
I don't know
NPCs,
if
so
you've
it's
been
nice to see
following the
NPCs
rumors,
running
but
shops and
There's
things.
something in the mountains. People from outside are coming in, and they're coming to stay.
They're coming to stay is a great line, because it's kind of like, hey, this ain't a one-time event. They're going to come and then they're going to be in the game. So don't worry, they're not going to pop by and then disappear next week. They're going to be here and they're going to stay in the game, and that's really important, because I think a lot of people will assume this is just an event that's going to happen, finish, and then it's done. But it's nice to know that that's not the case. Obviously, they're going to be here. This is an addition to the game. They're going to change the game. They've said on multiple occasions that this DLC, this expansion, is going to change the lore, change the kind of the foundation of the game that we've had since launch.
You're
So that's
from
quite
one of the
exciting.
local vaults, right? All of my people are at risk.
I like this thing, whatever this weird little squid monster is. That's cool. I've always loved the design of the monsters in the Fallout games, and I know a lot of people love the games because of the human interaction and the choices you make, and I do love that. But there's something about kind of the ghouls and the monsters and just kind of all the kind of creatures that they put in these games. And Fallout 76 was the best one for it. They had some really nice looking character models for the creatures, and kind of some really, really cool looking monsters that you could find in the world. The Scorch Beasts were amazing. They looked fantastic. But the game just didn't give you enough reason to keep playing and exploring and finding these creatures personally, or they didn't give a good enough reason for a large player base to do so. So it's kind of cool to see they're adding more. It's kind of nice. I like that. At least they're expanding out that way as well. If they're changing the lore, they need to add more than just the NPCs. This needs to almost be an overhaul. This needs to be a little bit like Taken King. If you ever played Destiny, remember when Taken King came out and overhauled the game, made it a whole new thing, won over a player base all over again. And I think if they get it right, they could do it. Whether this is the DLC that does it, I don't know.
Good money if you put an end to this for me. We ain't gonna let anyone stand in our way.
I'll stop it on a better frame. I was going to stop it on something kind of boring. There's going to be a black screen. I'm excited at the prospect. She says, I'm willing to pay a lot of money for you to kind of do this job for me. One thing that always annoyed me in this game is it seemed impossible to make any caps. I never had any money. And then you go to the vendors and you want to buy stuff, and like ammo was so expensive. It was like, oh, I've got to buy like 2 bullets. The economy seemed extremely harsh, and I get it needed to be because it was an online game and they didn't want people to just cheese the economy straight away. But it felt extremely harsh, very stacked against the player. So it's kind of cool to see that maybe the NPCs are going to offer you quests you can make, hopefully, a bit of actual cash on. Because I never even had any like stim packs. Like, I was running out of stuff left, right, and centre because I couldn't afford anything. It was just bloody expensive. So hopefully the NPC quests are a little bit more kind of favourable in terms of the rewards that you get from them. And I think there'll be a nice warm element. Going and picking up a quest from another person, that instantly feels more Fallout. That instantly feels more like the Bethesda games we know and love. So for me, that's exciting. I knew it was coming, but it's nice to see it. I like the look of this thing. I don't know what it is. It's kind of Cloverfield-esque, long-legged, short-armed monster. And the bow and arrow is cool as well. I guess... Oh, let me just have a look at him. Have a little look at his little screamy face. Yeah, he looks cool. I like he's got kind of like an emo fringe going on. It's quite nice. It looks like he's almost got like another head growing out of his back. I don't know what that thing is there. And he's got this big bulbous sack. I'm assuming that's his weak point, because whenever a monster has a big bulbous glowing sack, that's usually where you shoot it, and it will die. Yeah, not a huge amount in this trailer really to dissect. A couple of power armors there. The please stand by screen there announced it, and then just a date. April 7th, kind of nice to see. It's very soon. Day before my birthday, as I said. I will boot it up and I will play it. I will update the game.
Of you to do your part.
And I will, free for Fallout 76 players, I will give it another go. You know, I'm happy to give this game another chance if they're willing to put the work in to give me a reason to come back and play it. I really hope that what they offer here is substantial enough to bring a substantial amount of people back to the game. I'd love to sit and play it with a group of friends again. I'd love to sit and play it with people from all around the world that are coming back and experiencing it because it's starting to feel like an actual Fallout game. Hopefully, this is the start of a redemption arc for Bethesda. I don't know for sure. Hopefully, it's a redemption arc for Fallout 76. Hopefully, this is going to bring some people back. I'm saying hopefully a lot because that trailer didn't convince me. It's nice to see that it's coming out. It's nice to see that it's free. But there wasn't enough in there for me to go, yeah, that's fixed it. I'm excited. I'm going to jump back in. I will try it, but what do you guys think? Are you ready to play some more Fallout 76, or are you done with that game? Did it burn you enough that you're not interested anymore? You've lost faith. You're not going to go back. Even though the DLC's free, would you still not try it? Let me know down in the comments below. Just have a conversation with me. I really like Fallout. Fundamentally, I enjoy the games, and I always have, so I'd be excited to speak to some other Fallout fans and kind of get a bit of a gauge on where they're at. Do you still play the game? It would be nice to know. If there's people out there still playing, I'll come play with you. I've got it installed, and I'd like to see the state of the game today. But I'm excited to have a conversation with people that, like me, love Bethesda, but have kind of felt like they've fallen from grace in these past few months and years, and it's time to start seeing them do some stuff that kind of fills us with a bit more faith. Alright guys, that's everything from me today. I'm going to play some games now because I've just finished work. I need to eat as well. It's probably time for me to eat. But I'm going to eat first, then play some games. Hopefully you're all having a great night. I'll see you soon for another one. Take care. See you later guys.